Hey, what's going on everyone, and welcome to another subscriber showdown. In today's video, I'm going to be going head to head in a 2 out of 3 match with Mr. NateTheGreat, aka Sir Nate12. So Nate challenged me to a competitive game 2 out of 3, so let's see how this goes. So he's going to start off this match by playing 1 Day of Peace, which is going to allow both of us players to draw 1 card, but neither player will take damage until the end of the next turn. He now normal summons DD Savant Kepler, and when this card is normal summoned, you can activate one of 2 effects, one being that you can add 1 Dark Contract card from your deck to your hand, and he goes ahead and adds Dark Contract with the Gate from his deck to his hand. Dark Contract with the Gate is now going to be activated, and this is going to allow him to add 1 DDD monster from his deck to his hand. Dark Contract with the Gate is a continuous spell, and how it works is that every standby phase you must take 1000 damage, but it means that because it stays on the field, you can also always use it once per turn. Now, using the effect of Dark Contract with the Gate, Sir Nate goes and adds DD Swell Slime. DD Swell Slime has a very unique effect, whereas if this card is in your hand, you can fusion summon 1 DDD fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand as fusion materials, including this card. So he's going to be able to fusion summon from his hand directly without the need for polymerization, using Swell Slime and also a copy of King Abyss Ragnarok from his hand, and he's going to be able to summon out DDD Flame High King Genghis. This is one of their many cards. DDDs are a variety of cards which, in the anime, the whole point around Declan Akbar, who is the character that played this deck, the whole point around him was that he had the ability to use mechanics from every single extra deck type in the game, and so you're going to see a variety of monsters summoned, including fusions and also links. Speaking of which, he uses 2 monsters to summon out their most recent card, DDD Abyss King Gilgamesh. And Abyss King Gilgamesh has the effect where you can pay, I think you take 1000 life points in damage, but you can activate 2 scales from your deck directly to the field. That effect is insane. Pendulum's recently lost their main link to Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, but this deck has its own kind of way just to search out Pendulum scales like that, which is really quite insane, and I was astonished how really good this effect was. He didn't take any damage, of course, because he played 1 of Day of Peace earlier on, and now he's just used Monster Reborn to revive the High King Genghis. He's now going to use the effect of Abyss Ragnarok, and Abyss Ragnarok's effect is going to allow him to target one of the monsters in his graveyard, and then he will a special summon it to the field in defense position. Well, I assume it has to be in defense position, or maybe just because it has a bigger defense, he's summoned it in defense. And so that's going to bring it to the field. Now, Abyss Ragnarok also has a monster-based effect as well, and that could do some type of removal as well. But I don't think he'll be using that this turn because he's got nothing to remove. So Sir Nate is now going to end his turn here, and he's now going to pass. So as you can see, I am playing Pendulums as well. So this is going to be a Pendulum versus Pendulum mirror match. Well, kind of like a Pendulum versus Pendulum mirror match. He does more than just Pendulums, whereas I purely just do Pendulums. And I'm going to start off by activating Mythical Beast Master Cerberus. And Mythical Beast Master Cerberus, when it is in the Pendulum scale and you have no other card in your Pendulum scale, you can choose to destroy it to add 1 Mythical Beast monster from your deck to your hand, and I'm going to go ahead and add Jackal King. Now, all the Mythical Beast monsters have the same effect, whereas if they are in the Pendulum scale by themselves, you can destroy them to do something. And now, I'm going to do the same thing with Mythical Beast Jackal King. And Jackal King's effect is, if it is in the scale by itself, and there is no other card in your Pendulum zone, you can destroy it to special summon 1 Mythical Beast monster from your extra deck to the field. Now, this is a little bit weaker than it used to be, thanks to Master Rule 4. It would have always been better to summon this directly to the field in the main monster zone, so it does kind of clog up your extra monster zone a little bit, but it's still nice and an easy way to get a big spellcaster monster to your field, which is what this deck is all about. Now we're going to activate another scale that is going to be Reflection of ENDYMION. Because I can't use my Mythical Beast anymore, I'm now going to use my ENDYMION card, and Sir Nate is going to respond with Lost Wind. Lost Wind is a really unique trap card, where it targets 1 face-up special summon monster on the field and negates its effect. And it also halves that monster's attack. These effects are permanent, they don't go away at the end of the turn, which is why this card is really powerful. And so unfortunately I'm going to not be able to really use the effect of my Mythical Beast Master Cerberus, but we're going to carry on playing here, and we played the spell card, Spell Power Mastery, in order to add one Endymion card from our deck to our hand. And we are going to add our Magister of Endymion, and then we're going to put an extra spell counter onto Reflection of Endymion, so it now has 2 spell counters. If you've never seen Endymion's before, all of the scale effects all do something where you have at least 3 spell counters on the field, except for the big boss monster himself. And the sooner we get to 3, the better this deck will run. But before that, I want to make sure my opponent can't really do a whole lot. And there's no really point me summoning all my monsters right now because of One Day of Peace's effect. I can't do any damage to Sir Nate in this turn. So I don't necessarily want to quote-unquote blow my load and summon too many monsters right now so that he can just break my board and then attack me the next turn, and then I basically just lose. So I'm trying not to overplay. I'm trying to play as conservatively as possible, and so Mystic Mine is going to help us here with that. We are going to activate now Spellbook of Knowledge, and we're going to use it just deliberately to get rid of the Mythical Beast Master Cerberus, but also just to get that extra spell counter onto Reflection of Endymion. And there is a reason why I'm doing that, but we're not going to be able to see what that reason is just yet. So now we're going to go over to Sir Nate's turn here, and he is going to go into the standby phase, and Dark Contract with the Gate is now going to burn him for 1,000 life points. He's now going into the main phase, and he's going to use this effect to add another DDD monster from his deck to his hand. DDs are a really cool deck, and it's very intriguing to see what they can do in Master Rule 5, because they struggled in Master Rule 4 because they didn't really have a Link monster, and it really slowed down the deck from being able to do all the extra deck summons it wants to do. But now the restriction has been lifted from Fusion, Synchro, and XE summons. The deck is kind of quote-unquote back at full power, so it's really nice to see a competitive version of DDDs being played here. So Sir Nate's just thinking about what he's going to do. Can he play around Mystic Mine? Can he get rid of it? He does have cards in his deck which might be able to do so, but did he draw it is the question. And nope, he's going to pop onto the end phase. And this is just one reason why I like Mystic Mine. It can just buy you some time in order to kind of counter these extremely combo style decks that people sometimes like to play in this game. But what we are going to do here first is we are now going to go for our own little comeback, and we are going to activate Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic. And now our Reflection of Endymion now has 6 spell counters, so this is going to allow us to do our big boss monsters effect. But first we're going to Pendulum Summon using our 2 scale and our 8 scale, and summon any cards from our hand or extra deck which fit between those 2 levels. So we can bring back our Mythical Beast Jackal King, and we can bring back our Magister of Endymion. And I wanted to do this first primarily before using Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic's effect, because we need as many cards as possible on the field that can hold spell counters for his effect. Lost Winds effect is going to activate as well, and that card's effect is anytime your opponent special summons a monster from the extra deck, except the turn this card is sent to the graveyard, you can set this card again to your side of the field. And that is a really cool recursion effect. I believe it banishes itself now, once it's brought itself back once, but this card is really fun in order to provide you a source of negation that keeps on bringing itself back. Especially if you have a grindy style deck, it can be really good for that. We've removed 6 spell counters to activate Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic's effect, and this effect is if you remove 6 spell counters from your field, you can special summon this card from your Pendulum Zone, and then destroy cards on the field equal to the number of cards you control that can hold spell counters. So we have Endymion, Magister, Jackal King, and Reflection, which can all hold spell counters, and so we're going to be able to destroy up to 1 to 4 cards on the field. Now, you saw me there right, I did get rid of my own Mystic Mine because I don't want Mystic Mine to stop me from using monster effects and from attacking, and so we had to get rid of that. And I also don't want to get rid of his Link monster, because his Link monster has a floating effect of when it is destroyed by a battle or card effect, it gets a special summon back a DDD monster from his graveyard, so there's no point really destroying that. But it's really hard for me to decide what else should I go for. All of his back row cards are pretty good. Gate will get him more cards, Savant Thomas can get him cards back from the extra deck, Abyss Ragnarok can special summon cards from the graveyard, so it was really hard for me to go for, but I went for Savant Thomas No real reason why, to be honest with you. I just kind of went for it. And so now, with half of his board kind of being destroyed, we are now going to carry on playing on our turn, and we are going to see what we can do here. Now, we do want spell counters. We really need to have spell counters. So this is the difficult thing when you're playing this deck. You've always got to kind of think on the fly what the best play is. Pendulums, or at least my version of Pendulums, mythical Endymions, they never really have like a direct line of play. It's always like whatever is best for the scenario you're in, and sometimes you have to take risks in order to get the big payout. So I was really thinking about summoning out my Link 3 there, what's that called, Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians, but I chose not to do so, and we're just going to attack. Now, Gilgamesh, is it Gilgamesh? Gilgamesh tried to use his graveyard effect, which I described earlier, but it was negated by Jackal King. And now we're going to attack directly with Magister of Endymion. Anytime Magister of Endymion attacks, he can gain 1 counter onto himself, which is nice because we want counters in order to use our effects. And now Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic, is now going to attack as well. I forgot to mention, for every card that Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic, also destroys, he also gets a counter for it as well. So he had 4 counters, and we removed 2 of them to get the to use Jackal King's effect. And now I'm just trying to decide, do I want to activate 1 more spell card just so that we can get more counters on the field and hopefully seal the deal here? And I'm going to go with it. It's a bit risky because the scales of my skills right now are 2 and 4. And there really isn't a whole lot my deck can summon between level 2 and level 4. Only my level 3 monsters can really do so, and I haven't really got any of those right now. So having these skills is quite bad. But I think we are in a position where we can control the game, and so I wanted to get those spell counters here. Now, Sir Nate is going to activate Lost Wind. Again, he's going to try and negate the effect of Jackal King. That will mean he will also lose all the spell counters he currently has. And so I kind of felt that this was a bait. I thought that Nate knew that I could negate spells and trap cards, and so he's trying to get me to use my Endymion's effect so we can activate something else. So instead, I'm actually going to let it go through, and I'm going to chain with Magister of Endymion's effect instead. Magister of Endymion's effect while it's on the field is I can remove 3 spell counters from my field and summon any monster from my deck that can hold spell counters to the field. And then I believe I give it 1 spell counter as well. No, I don't give it 1 spell counter, no. So we're going to allow the Jackal to be negated and bring out another Jackal so that we can have another form of monster negation on the field. Now Sir Nate is going to activate Dark Contract with the gate, and this was really hard to decide. Did I want to keep this and let that go through? And I am going to let it go through. I'm just thinking I'm trying to play as defensively as possible. I don't want him to break my board, so I'm trying to be careful of what cards he does. But I'm also kind of wary that if he keeps on searching out more monsters, he can maybe summon a monster that could break my board, which is which could be really difficult to deal with. Now the card which he just added, I actually have never seen before. I think it's a newer card to DDDs, and I wasn't familiar with it, so we'll have to see what that card is later on if it gets played. But first, Nate is going to activate DDD Swell Slime, DD Swell Slime. And again, as we said earlier, it's going to allow him to do a fusion summon using materials from his hand. And it's really, again, really hard to decide. It's like a game of chicken we're playing here. What's the best card to negate? And I know his fusion monsters have effects which can negate my card effects, so I'm going to go with a negate here. I'm going to actually negate it with Jackal King and destroy his Swell Slime. But I wasn't confident enough to know 100% was that the best choice, or did I just fall for some bait and he's now going to play something else which is even better. Could be. For example, DDD Swell Slime has a graveyard based effect too, and that is you can banish it from the graveyard in order to summon a card from your hand to the field. A DDD card, that is. And here is the new card, Divine King 0. I can't read that last word from here. It's really, really small, but Divine King 0 something. And that card has a really, really cool effect. First, Abyss Ragnarok is going to activate, and it's going to try to summon a card back from the graveyard, but this one we are going to negate with our Endymion. So, Endymion requires that I return one of my cards on my field that is holding a spell counter to the hand, and then I can negate the activation or the effect of a spell and trap card. And so we negate his Abyss Ragnarok. And I'm just hoping, at this point I've used all my negations, So I'm thinking, I'm hoping at this point that he hasn't got really anything else which is going to be too problematic. But he now normal summons out DD Savant Copernicus, and DD Savant Copernicus, I believe, has the effect where it can send a DD card from his deck to the graveyard, and he sends DD Necro Slime. DD Necro Slime has a graveyard effect which is the same as Swell Slime, but does it from the graveyard, so it kind of works like Miracle Fusion in a way, where you can banish materials in your graveyard to do a fusion summon for a DDD monster, just like that. And that's a really cool effect. And now seeing this deck having so much variety, because you can use so many different cards in order to make your fusion monsters, and you have generic cards like Oracle King Diarch, which is only any two DD monsters to make it. It's really cool to see this card in action, because before this deck felt very limited in the previous version of Legacy of the Duelist, because it didn't have as many cards in its main deck available to it, but now it absolutely does. So Nate has built a nice board, and he's got some monsters that with 0 attack, which is really weird, isn't it? That seems like it's not really ideal, particularly since he's on such a low amount of life points. But the reason why he's done that is because his Destiny King 0 Laplace has the effect where if it attacks, or I think if it just does any battle damage, if it just battles any monster, yeah, that's it. If it battles any monster, it will take the attack of the monster that it's battling and then get double its attack. So his monster can just double its attack to anything that fights it, and so he managed to get over my Jackal King quite easily. And then with Magister of Endymion left, it's not going to take much for Nate in order to destroy that using his Diarch, because it's only 1500 attack, and now he's going to pass for turn here. Now, I still have a game-winning opportunity. He has a monster with 0 attack on the field with Copernicus, and I could just go attack that directly with Jackal King, but I'm concerned about what this face-down card is. So, I am going to just try to make sure that whatever I do here, I am going to try just to make sure I win this game here. And so what we're going to do first is we're going to first activate Dark Magic Veil. And Dark Magic Veil is going to allow us to special summon a Dark Spellcaster from our hand or graveyard. And so welcome back Endymion, the mighty master of magic. This is going to give Reflection 1 spell counter, and then we're going to summon out Magician's Souls using its own effect, I believe. Just having a look here. Actually, no, we don't even need to summon out Magician's Souls, because he's going to activate his trap card here, Dark Contract with the, I believe it's with the Abyss. No, with the Witch. Dark Contract with the Witch, and he's going to discard a card in order to try and destroy one card of the field. However, I was smart enough to make sure that there was a spell card on my field before I summoned my Endymion, and so I'm going to be able to use his effect to negate his Spell and Trap card. And with his Spell and Trap card gone, there's nothing else for me to really be scared of that's on his field. It's only that one card in his hand, and frankly, I don't really think I have to worry about the card in his hand. DD Ghost is going to activate, and that's going to allow him to return one of his cards from the graveyard and send another copy of it to the graveyard, so he sends another Swell Slime. But we now really have a game-winning position here, because what's really nice is that because I managed to return Reflection back to my hand with Endymion's effect, I now have my Mythical Beast Master Cerberus available, because it now is on its own in a pendulum scale on my side of the field, so we can use this effect to summon to go and add another Jackal King so we can fix our scales. But first, we're going to use Magician's Souls effect. Magician's Souls effect is going to activate. It's going to send one spellcaster that is level 6 or higher from my deck to the graveyard, so we send an Endymion because we don't need any more of those. And now we special summon Magician's Souls to the field. And this might feel like I'm going overkill here, and sometimes I don't like it when people play overkill, but I really just wanted to make sure I seal the deal here and make sure that I kind of I'm going to win the game, as opposed to him being able to counter, because it won't take much. One more turn for Nate and he can absolutely win this game, so I am just trying to make sure that whatever happens, I'm going to win this turn. So we link two of our spellcasters into making Daybreaker the Shining Magical Warrior. If you ever remember the card Breaker the Magical Warrior, this is his Link monster version. And when it is summoned, it gets a spell counter and gets 300 attack equal to the number of spell counters on it. And so he goes from 1600 to 1900. But he also has a really cool effect where if you summon a spellcaster to a zone it points to, it gets another spell counter as well. And if you have 2 spell counters on this card, you can remove 2 spell counters in order to destroy any card in the field. So it's quite nice, and it also helps with link climbing. So we use Jackal King again to summon that Master Cerberus. Master Cerberus is going to summon to his own Daybreaker points to. Daybreaker is going to get an extra counter, and now we're going to go to battle phase, and at this point we should be able to kind of get over any of my opponent's monsters, and there we go. We attack for game, and that is going to be the end of round 1. So we are doing side decking here, and Pendulums, this is the deck that actually taught me how to side deck efficiently, because in this deck you're playing basically a deck which runs in groups, and so it makes side decking in this deck very, very easy. In my MESS deck, or Mythical Endymion Spellbook Soul deck, whenever I go second, I simply just take out the Spellbook engine, which consists of 7 different cards, and then bring in 7 cards from my side deck back in. Now my side deck is basically built into 2 halves. I have cards which are good against breaking boards that use lots of monsters, and I have cards which are really good at shutting down spells and trap cards. And so because he's playing DDDs, and it seems like his deck is very, very monster based, I'm adding in 3 copies of Lava Golem, 1 Pankratops Dino Wrestler, 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More, and then I've also taken out 1 Set Rotation and 1 Secret Village of the Spellcasters for 2 copies of Evenly Match. The reason why I took out these 2 cards is because Secret Village of the Spellcasters is very good when you're going first, but I don't think Sir Nate is going to actually let me go first because I'm playing a Pendulum deck. No one ever really lets Pendulums go first. They always say you always want to let a Pendulum deck go second, so I'm going to assume here that that's exactly what he's going to do. So, and of course he's playing Pendulums as well, so he wants his combos to go off before mine do, so it only makes sense that he is going to let me go second. So, yeah, taking out Secret Village of the Spellcasters is one thing we did for that. Now, I'm going to take a quick swig of a drink, one moment. And, so Sir Nate is going to go first, and he's going to start off by activating Dark Contract with the gate, and now it's going to, again, allow him to search and add a DDD monster from his deck to his hand. I'm feeling very comfortable with this hand that I have. Being able to draw Lava Golem early on is quite nice, because it means that I'm going to have a way to just tribute of his monsters. And the reason why we take out the Spellbook engine to bring in cards like Lava Golem is because Lava Golem uses up your normal summon. Even though it's a special summon to tribute, it uses up your normal summon. And the Spellbook engine, or at least Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, the blue boy we call him, he lacks to be normal summoned, so he kind of clashes. And with Pendulums, you can't really afford to brick by having, say, too many normal summons. You really want to make sure every card that you play is high and impactful. So DDD Swole Slime brought out Flame King Genghis, and now he's going to normal summon Savant Kepler. The Savant Kepler is going to allow him to add a Dark Contract monster, a card from his deck, and add it to his hand. So he's already got Gate. So the question is, what other Dark Contract card will he go and have? We know he has Witch, which is the trap card in order to destroy cards, so maybe he wants to add another copy of that. But generally, DDDs don't need to have multiple copies of the same card, so I don't expect it to be another Gate. And it is exactly Dark Contract with the Witch, so he's just added a form of disruption to destroy my cards during my turn, which is what he's going to try to set up here. Savant Kepler and Flame High King Genghis are going to be used to summon out Abyss King Gilgamesh, and Abyss King Gilgamesh is going to be able to special summon one of his get the 2 scales from his from his deck to the field. That effect is so good; it's insanely how good. Being able to get 2 cards from your deck for the cost of 1,000 burn damage is just insane. Really, really, really good effect, especially since you've got 1 scale that lets you get another card from your extra deck for free, and 1 scale that lets you special summon a monster from your graveyard. That's a really, really powerful card. I actually really like Abyss King Gilgamesh. Very, very good card. So, Nate's just thinking about what he's going to do here. And first he's going to banish Swole Slime to summon a monster from his hand. So, what card is he going to summon? He special summons out Savant Copernicus. And this is going to trigger its effect, where it's going to send a DD or Dark Contract card from his deck to the graveyard. But first, it seems like Abyss King Ragnarok is going to activate, and that is going to target a card in his graveyard to special summon it to the field, and then Copernicus is going to chain as chain link 2, sending another card to the graveyard, and he sends his red monster to the graveyard for his graveyard based fusion summoning. Flamehide King Genghis is revived to the field, and Nate takes 1,000 burn damage, and so Flamehide King Genghis does have an effect of being able to summon more monsters from the graveyard, so this is all really good for him. And now he's going to use Savant Thomas to add Kepler back to his hand. I'm still not too worried about this board. I think this board is quite manageable. He sets his trap card, which I assume is definitely more than likely his trap card, and now he uses the effect of Necro Slime to fusion summon something by using materials in his graveyard. So he's going to fusion summon using a Savant Copernicus and Necro Slime. And let's see what he brings out. He brings out again Oracle King Diarch. And Oracle King Diarch is really nice because Oracle King Diarch makes it so that any effect damage that he would take will make him gain life points instead. And it's how this deck kind of balances itself out. This deck reminds me a lot of Archfiend, if anyone remembers that deck. A really old Fiend based deck that was never really that good. This kind of reminds me of it being very similar to Archfiend, but just a lot better to play. Significantly a lot better. So during Nate's turn, we're going to go straight ahead and we're going to tribute over his problematic monsters. I don't want to deal with Flame King High Genghis. I don't want to revive him more cards. And Gilgamesh, again, I didn't want to destroy that card because it will allow him to get cards back from the graveyard. So we tribute over them. I should have put Lava Golem in defense. I don't know why I summoned it in attack. Especially since I don't really have, looking at the cards I have now, I don't really have a way to deal with this card, which is unfortunate. And Nate is not going to waste any time. He's going to go ahead and activate Dark Contract with the Witch, and he's going to use it to destroy my scale. And I was actually very surprised by this. I wouldn't expect anyone to destroy a reflection of Endymion scale like that, because there's usually other higher priority cards you could hit. Especially if I had more scales in my hand, I could have maybe done another Pendulum Summon. But considering what my hand is, it's not good at all, and actually destroying a reflection actually hurt me quite a lot. So that's going to definitely pay off for him. I activate Reasoning, and this card allows me to pick up cards from the top of my deck until I get a monster that can be normal summoned, and then I can special summon that monster, unless it's of the equal level to the level that Sir Nate called. So he called at 12, and I got Magician's Soul, so there's level 1. I probably didn't know what to call out, and that's why I play Reasoning in this deck, is because my deck has so many different levels, it's actually hard to predict what Reasoning would actually hit. And at this point here, I'm actually just really thinking, what the hell can I do? Dark Contract with the Witch is giving all of his monsters an 1,000 attack boost, so I can't beat over that Lava Golem, and I can't beat over Diarch, and my hand really isn't that good. I have Magician's Restage. I can try and add a card with Spell Power Mastery, but anything I add is not going to have enough spell counters to use any of their effects, so it's not really going to do me a whole lot. And yeah, at this point, I'm really kind of feeling, oh gosh, I don't have a lot of good options here. Very limited amount of plays that we potentially can make. So yeah, that's why we're kind of like taking our time here and really trying to think, what are we going to do here, because this is a difficult situation, and sometimes playing pendulums can feel like if you make one single wrong mistake, it will cost you the whole game because you just messed up. So we go ahead and add a Servant of Endymion, just because I felt like it was a safe bet. We're going to activate it, and what I'm going to try and do here is we're going to be praying a little bit, and we're going to hope to God that I will be able to draw something relevant enough to help me fix my hand and make it a little bit better than what it is right now. So first we use Magician's Souls to make Link Rebo, and now we're going to activate Magician's Restage. And by activating this card, Servant of Endymion is going to get a counter, and then we're going to use the effect of Magician's Restage to target one level 3 or lower spellcaster monster in our graveyard and special summon it to the field. So we welcome back Magician's Souls. And now we've got 2 monsters on the field instead of the 1. We're going to use Magician's Soul's effect, and we're going to send a spell and trap card from our field to the graveyard to draw a card, and we drew into another copy of Magician's Souls, which isn't really going to help us too much at all. However, I do notice that we have 3 spell cards in our graveyard, so I'm going to use the effect of Magician's Souls again to summon itself to the field, and now I'm going to actually send a Endymion to the graveyard Now, looking back on this and remembering what's going to happen up soon, I kind of wish I didn't go with Endymion. I kind of wish I went with Reflection instead, but you'll understand why a little bit more. It was really hard to choose what card to go for from here, because we have the ability to summon one of these cards back from the graveyard, depending on what we choose in a moment. So Magician's Souls is going to get summoned to the field, finally. And now we're going to use two spellcasters, and we are going to go for, well, we could go straight to Celine, but what I think we're going to actually do, oh, we are going straight into Celine. Okay, I'm a little surprised there, because what I could have done, alternatively, is instead of going straight to Celine, oh, I could have gone for Spellbook. I was thinking about going for Crowley instead to search that Spellbook card, but of course I don't have my Spellbook card because I'm actually going second, so never mind that. That doesn't matter at all. So we had to go straight to Celine, and Celine is going to get spell counters for every spell card on our field and in our graveyards. I have 3 spell cards in my graveyard, and there are 4 face-up spell cards on the field, so she gets 7 counters. We now remove 3 counters from her in order to special summon a spellcaster from our graveyard, and we're going to get back the Mighty Master of Magic, just because it's there as an option. Now, if I had Reflection at this point, this would have been better. What Reflection would have done here is Reflection would have activated when it was summoned, and its effect is that you can choose 1 card you control with a spell counter and 1 card your opponent controls and return them to your hand. Now, I could have used Reflection to return my Servant to my hand along with the Lava Golem, and then I could have actually used the Lava Golem to tribute over more monsters. So I was kicking myself as I made this play, because as soon as I did this, I started to realize, no, that would have been a lot better to do than just summoning Endymion. So yeah, not a great play on my part. His next turn here, Gate is going to activate, and Gate is going to burn it for 1,000 life points, and also Dark Contract with a Witch is also going to activate as well, I believe. But instead, I'm going to try and negate that with Endymion, and we're going to use that to return Servant to the hand, and then Contract with the Witch is going to get destroyed, and Endymion is now going to get a counter. This is really nice because Endymion can protect itself from targeted base effects as long as it has a counter on it, and he can't naturally get counters unless you use an effect to put a counter on him. He's not like most of the other cards where if you activate a spell card, he gets a counter, unfortunately. He has to rely on effects to put the counters on him, but he can hold a counter. And yeah, so by putting a counter on him, he can be just a little bit more protected. Now, Nate is going to activate Contract with the Gate, and Contract with the Gate is going to try and add a card from his deck to his hand. But I'm going to go ahead and use the card effect of my Celine in order to summon another spellcaster, and we're going to summon Jackal King from my hand to the field. And I did that just in the anticipation that maybe if he uses another spell card, I'll get some more spell counters, and then I could use Jackal King to negate. But I still have my monsters in defense, so it's very likely that they'll get destroyed by battle this turn. So yeah, it's still really a great position. And Sir Nate now tributes all 3 of my monsters. It's almost as if he was waiting for it, and he's going to do the same thing which I did to him. Instead of giving me a Lava Golem, he's going to give me the Winged Dragon of Ra Spear mode. And I was really impressed by this. This is a very, very good card to use against combo based decks, and I'm going to imagine that he side decked this in to counter to my strategy. And so he's managed to get rid of all my cards, and I'm thinking like, oh crap, that's pretty much going to put the nail in the coffin there. There's not really a whole much I'm going to be able to do to come back from this. We're going to still try though. We're going to activate Servant's Effect, and then we're going to use Magician Restage. And Magician Restage is going to again summon a level 3 or lower spellcaster monster from our graveyard, and then we're going to go ahead and grab our Magician's Souls. And the plan here is pray. Yeah, summon Magician's Souls, use this effect, and just pray we draw a decent card that's going to help us get back into this game, because my god, we are not in a good position here. Yeah, so Soul's effect is going to activate, send Restage to the graveyard, and what are we going to draw? Dun, 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 we drew Evenly Match, and this was a really bad time to draw Evenly Match. Evenly Match, when it is activated, can banish cards from your opponent's field until we both control the same number of cards. I have some cards on the field, so therefore Evenly Match really isn't going to get that much of use out of it. And we can't activate it from our hand either because we have cards face up on the field. So drawing evening match here really wasn't helpful. I almost wish I had drew it earlier so I could send it to the graveyard with Magician Soul's effect. Now, I wasn't really too sure what to do with this big stupid ball here. Spear Mode's effect is that during the end phase of the next turn of when it was summoned, basically during the end phase of this current turn, it's now going to change ownership and it's going to go back to my opponent. And so I couldn't decide, should I use it for a link material and link it away? But then I risk that if I summon a link 2, most of my link 2s are going to be very, very weak monsters, and he could very much attack me over them and kill me in one turn, because he's already got a 3k attack monster and a 2800 monster on the field. And so I really thought about whether I should use it as a link material, but instead we're just going to send Souls to the graveyard and summon out Link Karibo and hope that maybe Link Karibo can help us survive a turn or so. So we'll see. Spearmon goes back to his opponent's control, and Lava Golem is now actually going to work against me because he's going to burn my opponent for 1000 damage, but because he has Dark on the field, D-Arc is actually going to give him 1000 life points. So now Nate is up to 10,000 life points, and this is just looking more and more dire by the turn. Gate is now going to activate. It's going to allow him to add more cards from his deck to his hand. And yeah, he's played really, really well. Sir Nate is controlling the board. He was a very smart use of Spear Mode in order to tribute over my monsters, and really managed to get himself back into the game here by just playing so well overall. So I think he added another copy of Savant Thomas from his deck to his hand, if I didn't see correctly. But he's also just thinking about what to do as well. Really, he should be able to kind of just kill me in this turn if he can summon enough monsters to do the job. So now he's going to link away Diark and his Savant Copernicus, and that's going to bring out a tribute summon actually. He's going to tribute them for Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok. And he's going to do this effect so that he can tribute one other DDD monster and then target one card in the field, a monster your opponent controls, and banish it. So I don't know what he's going to use for it, but first he's actually going to activate the pendulum based effect of Abyss King Ragnarok and summon back Abyss King Gilgamesh. And so that's going to come to the field, and now he's got something which he can actually tribute in order to no, he's going to use Gilgamesh's effect. Gilgamesh is going to bring back the Ark, so really nice form of chain summoning there. Burning for 1000 life points, but he's in excess life points already, so it doesn't really matter. And now he's going to add to his hand Copernicus, back using Savant Thomas's effect. And at this point, it's really not looking hopeful. He can attack with Gilgamesh. I can use Link Karibo's effect, and then he will be able to attack directly. And with the Lava Golem, the Abyss King Ragnarok, and the Ark, that in total is dead on 8000 attack. So that's a lot of damage. But like I did in my turn, Nate knows not to just stop there. I do still have one face down card in the field, and so he's going to carry on playing and not just go straight to battle phase in order to make sure that he can kind of deal with my face down card as well, so that so that I don't maybe do something cheeky and try to make a comeback. He summons DD Lamia by sending a DD or Dark Contract card from his hand to the field, to the graveyard. So he sends a Slime to the graveyard, and now because a Necro Slime is in the graveyard, he's going to be able to fusion summon again and bring out another monster from his extra deck. And yeah, he's just played really, really well. We say goodbye to the Ark and also to Lamia to bring out a new card, DDD Curse King Siegfried. And DDD Curse Siegfried has a negation effect where it can negate one face-up spell trap card on the field, and that effect target has its effects negated for, I think it's just, I don't know if it's during either player's turn. I think that, until the next standby phase is what it says. So yeah, he can negate any of my cards as a quick effect until the next standby phase, which is really, really powerful. Necro Slime is going to activate. He's going to banish Flame King Genghis, and he's going to banish the Necro Slime itself to summon out another fusion monster. And now he's going to summon out Flame High King Genghis. Flame High King Genghis is a little bit stronger than Flame King Genghis, because instead of summoning a card from the graveyard, I believe this card actually has a negate as well. I think you can negate spells and trap cards, if I remember correctly. So, yep, this is going to be game here. He's going to attack directly. First going to attack with Curse King Siegfried. And Siegfried, just for good measure, is going to activate. He's going to negate the effect of my servant, removing her spell counter, so I really have no chance or opportunity to make a comeback here. And then he is going to attack with Lava Golem. That's going to do 3,000 damage to me. And then we're going to get attacked by Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok. That's going to do 1100 damage. For some reason, I think that card only does half damage, so I'm not actually quite dead just yet, because his monsters are doing half damage. I'm not 100% sure why they're doing half damage, but they are only doing half damage. I almost kind of remember there was a card that says that, but I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. And in the battle phase, we're going to try and activate Evenly Match, but because he has his Flame High King Genghis, it's going to get negated. I knew it would be negated as well, so I just thought I'd just show you. Here's the card I had face down. And so I'm still in the game. I still got 2600 life points, but I'm really outmatched in terms of resources right now, so not looking too great. And we draw into Dino-Rest and Pancratops, which is always a good card to draw into, especially when your opponent has a bigger board than you do. And so, yeah, nice that we get to see Pancratops. Cursed King Siegfried is going to negate his own contract effect, so that it won't do burn damage to him, which is really actually quite clever, because it will be negated until the next standby phase, and then in the main phase he can just use it again as he wants to, which is actually really quite clever. I'm going to go ahead and special summon Pancratops. I'm going to attack into High King. I'm getting so confused with the names of these, my apologies. Oblivion King, Abyss, Ragnarok. They're all kings, that's the problem. And then we're going to attack with Pancratops, and then I'm just going to surrender. There's nothing else I can really do next turn he attacks a game. And that's going to end round 2.